Well, hello there, sentient beings and insentient beings and all ships at sea. Hi, it's Brad, and I'm back again to do another video. But first, before I do the video, I should tell you that on Thursday night, which is December 31st, we're going to have a all-night Zazen, which isn't really all-night Zazen, it just goes from 8 p.m. Pacific time to midnight Pacific time. We're going to do Zazen on the Zoom at aczc.org, and after we're going to do 2 rounds of Zazen, then I'm going to give a talk, then we're going to do 3 more rounds of Zazen, then we're going to say Happy New Year. So, in order to get ready for that, I've been trying to find all the New Year's references in Dogen's extensive record. Look how thick that book is. Luckily, I have a version on Kindle, and you can search keywords in there. So I searched the word New Year, and I find a lot of references to New Year in it. If you think that Shobo Genzo is difficult, try Dogen's extensive record. Really, compared to Shobo Genzo, well, no, compared to... Anyway, Dogen's extensive record is way more difficult. It's full of poetic expressions and turns of phrases, and half the time I have no idea what the hell he's trying to say. But some of the bits are more straightforward, and I'm going to try to find a straightforward bit to talk to you about on Thursday night. And then on the following Saturday, whatever hell, I guess that's January 2nd, we're having our all-day Zazen, which means 10 a.m. to about 2 p.m. Pacific time. I'm also giving the talk that day, so if you want to tune in for that, that's fine. We do a lot of stuff on aczc.org. Every Monday night, every Wednesday night, every Thursday night, there's yoga. Every Saturday morning, there's Zen. Every Friday morning, there's a Zazen and a ceremony. So, you know, lots of stuff to look at on the Zooms if you want to. So, last night on... and I'll tell you why I'm holding up this book in a second. Last night on the Angel City Zen Center Zoom thing, Kat, one of the residents there, spoke, not a cat, but her name is Kat, spoke about what to do with your mind during Zazen, and she started off by saying that in the video, we show a video for new people on how to do Zazen every time there are new people that show up for the Zoom thing, and on that video, she is the voice who says, well, what do you do during Zazen? The quick answer, what do you do with your mind during Zazen? The quick answer is don't worry about it, you know. And then it kind of goes on from there. And she did her talk sort of based on that idea of what does it mean, don't worry about what you're thinking. Well, it just so happened that a little while after she gave that talk, I happened to be reading this book, The Light That Shines Through Infinity by Dainin Katagiri. And as I've said many times before, I highly recommend anything by Dainin Katagiri for people who want to know about Zen philosophy and practice. And I'm going to read you a passage from it, and I'm sort of dropping you in the middle of this and bringing you out before the end of it, so go buy the book if you want to read the whole thing. The bit I'm reading starts on page 123, but it's in the middle of something else. And he's been talking about Yogacara philosophy, about Alaya Vijnana, the Storehouse Consciousness, and Manas, the individual ego consciousness. And I'll try to catch you up while I'm reading, but I thought this was interesting because it's kind of... he's kind of not saying what Kat said and what I always say for what to do with your mind during Zazen. He's saying something a little different, which I found intriguing. So, here we go. Consciousness exists only within your living activity. So if you want to understand your human consciousness, you have to do something. That is Zen practice. You practice letting your body and mind go deeper and deeper, back down the 12 links in the chain of causation. I did a video about that, the 12-fold chain of codependent co-origination, and I'm not going to try to give you all the links in the chain, but you can go refer to that video, or you can look it up. I'm sure there's a million pages on the internet that will tell you what the 12 links of causation are in Buddhism. Just passing them by one until finally, at the bottom of the 3rd link, you reach Alaya Vijnana and directly experience the flowing energy of universal life, the constant movement of life itself. And I had to stop the video and spend about 5 minutes or 10 minutes online looking up the 12-fold chain, because I don't have it memorized either. And link number 3 is consciousness. So that's what he's talking about, just passing at the bottom of the 3rd link, consciousness. You reach alaya vijnana and directly experience the flowing energy of universal life, the constant movement of life itself. Alaya vijnana, again, is the storehouse consciousness. I did a video on this, and you can look it up on a lot of places on the internet if you want to know more about it. But that's what he's talking about. It's a big deal in Zen and Yogacara philosophy, mostly Yogacara philosophy. Then you can understand what human consciousness really is. So he's talking about, during Zazen, going down through these links of the 12-fold chain of codependent co-origination. Reaching alaya consciousness enables you to go deeper and observe real reality, which is called Tathagata Garbha, which is the womb of the Buddhas. At that time, you transcend your concept of human mind and experience freedom from your human mind. To reach this stage, we have to understand what's going on. That is why we study Buddhist philosophy and psychology. So that's why you bother learning all this stuff about alaya vijnana and stuff. Because if you have a little bit of a roadmap to it from other people who've been through it before, you're going to have an easier time with it. It doesn't mean you'll understand it, but you'll have an easier time with it because you'll have a sense that there's something to this. If you go into this stuff, and as I've often said, unprepared, without any sort of philosophical background and basis on it, you're likely to make all sorts of weird assumptions and kind of get a little crazy. So he goes on. Consciousness of your individual self is understood in Yogacara psychology as manas. That's what they call the individual self consciousness. In terms of the 8 human consciousnesses, manas is the 7th one. And the first 6 are the consciousnesses of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, feeling, like a sensation, feeling, feeling, bodily feeling, and the mind, which is considered one of the senses. The brain or the mind is considered one of the senses. So each one of those is a consciousness in Yogacara. So the manas is the 7th one, ego consciousness. So that one is above all the sort of physical consciousnesses. Manas itself doesn't create ego, but within manas there is a function called satkaya drishti, which is the congenital or inborn concept of I. Before you are born, the moment you are in your mother's womb, you already have this function or faculty. It is the very basic state of ego consciousness, the source of human selfishness, which is present in the depths of your unconscious. Ego consciousness is very strong, very deep. It is your great energy to live. You experience this energy in your everyday life. If you feel happy, that is energy to live. If you struggle and cry, that is also energy to live. Under all circumstances, you make an effort to live. That is manas consciousness. Manas is not the usual idea of self. The usual idea of self comes from the 6 sense consciousnesses, which I just outlined a minute ago, which fabricate a dichotomy between self and others so that we can say you and I, or yours and mine. We trust in that self because we perceive it as something permanent, but actually dualistic self is constantly changing. For instance, you are right, I am wrong is a dichotomy. In the next moment, conditions may change. Then maybe you are wrong, I am right. Your 6 sense consciousnesses are always fabricating a new idea of self according to your circumstances. The more you try to understand your dualistic self, the more you feel confused and dissatisfied because there's nothing to pin down. Your ego consciousness is quite different from your changeable self because it is not dualistic. Manas never changes. It is always the same because it perceives only the I. Ego always wants to get something it can use to build up your human life, materialistically, psychologically, or spiritually. So it is the source of greed, anger, and self-delusion. This is the functioning of manas. Before manas starts to work, the basic energy that supports your life, alaya vijnana, is already there. So when you move toward the depth of your life, you can see the top of that flowing energy. There, the self operates in an extremely subtle way. Desire and purity are moving together. Manas picks up something from alaya vijnana, grasps it, and holds it. Then you think, I got it. You want to know what it is, so the discriminating mind of your 6th consciousness appears. That's your mental consciousness. When you are thinking like that, you have seen only the surface of alaya. The goal of Buddhist practice is not to get something from alaya vijnana. It is to become one with alaya itself. So don't stop there. Keep going deeper, through and through, until you touch something deep about you. going deeper, you realize that the human world of subtle movement is, at the same time, the spiritual world of stillness. That is realization of the unified Dharma world. And he goes on from there, and I think it's well worth reading, and I'm presenting that to you because I thought it was interesting. My normal instructions for what to do with your mind in Zazen are the same as kind of everybody else's, which is don't do anything, just let it go, open the hand of thought. Don't try to do anything. Yet sometimes certain Zen teachers, and myself included occasionally, will tell you to do something else, like go down through the 12-fold chain of codependent co-origination and find alaya vijnana at the bottom of it and integrate yourself with the world and so forth and so on. Zen is contradictory. It's full of contradictions, and it's never one way or the other. Sometimes you want to go deep into the sense of the self and find the 12-fold chain of codependent co-origination and alaya vijnana and all that. And sometimes just opening the hand of thought is enough. And sometimes that is the same thing. Opening the hand of thought is how you get into this. You don't have to sort of think about this and make it happen, but just drift into it, I think, is what Dainin Katagiri was probably trying to say. Just allow it to happen. Allow yourself to see things as they really develop. So that's my little message for today. I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to send me money to give more messages, you can send it to the, well, there's a URL on the screen, and that will take you to links to my Patreon and PayPal. And those are the only way I am making money this year. And I really, really thank all of you who are contributing still because of you, that's what I meant to say. Everything's pretty copacetic, so that means people who are short on money don't have to worry about sending me anything. But those of you who are still sending me money, that is great, because that's how I make my living, and that is wonderful. And we will see you all later. Have a good time all the time. Bye.